Hello, Bio20. Welcome to the lesson on Chapter 9, Excretion. We're going to start in a new book. Any bolded letters, words, and underlined words you're going to want to use in today's notes. So today we're going to learn the role of the excretory system and the structures that are part of it. How do you know you're successful in this lesson is essentially being able to tell me different types of wastes that are being removed from the body. You need to know the diagram of the excretory system. That's going to be the big part of today, as well as knowing the cross-section of a kidney, which we're going to delve into later tomorrow. And then last but not least, understanding what makes up the urine. So today we're going to talk about why cells create waste and the products that they change, what it changes. So when a cell creates waste within your body, it usually changes the water volume in the body or some sort of dissolved substance in the body fluid. So what that means is, are you reabsorbing water or excreting water? Are you absorbing glucose, or are you trying to get rid of parts of proteins or something like that? Okay, so the whole idea behind the excretory system is to regulate the volume and composition of the fluids within our body and remove the waste that we don't need. All right. So what are some examples of wastes that we have? Well, there's carbon dioxide, water, sodium, chlorine, and hydrogen. Okay. These are just a couple examples of waste. Carbon dioxide, we know, is through the process of respiration, right? Breathing in and out. Water, you can, if you drink a lot of water, you're going to excrete water. Sodium, you don't always need to keep sodium in your body. So there's lots of different examples. But the main one that I really want you to understand is that proteins and nucleic acids. So proteins break down into amino acids, and nucleic acids are what come from DNA. They pose the biggest threat if accumulated in a point where it can become toxic. Now, the reason for that is because the nitrogen found in both proteins and nucleic acids. When nitrogen is within your body, if it's not broken down properly, it becomes ammonia, which is extremely dangerous. We're not going to talk about the pictures or any of the stuff here, just filling in the notes. Skipping this. So again, I just said it, but all of the wastes in your body, nitrogenous wastes are the most dangerous. So that's the ones that come from your proteins or your amino acids specifically, or the nucleic acids. So what you can see here is that ammonia is sent to the liver, okay? And the liver actually converts it into a more usable product called urea, hence urine. Too much ammonia in our body is actually extremely lethal, but urea is not. You can have a little bit more. So you can have, instead of 0.005 milligrams, you can have 33 milligrams, okay, which is a big deal. So the function of the excretory system is to remove the waste from the blood. So the kidneys are filtering the blood. Essentially, the blood's going to run past it, and it's going to take out the stuff we don't need. So what are some key structures that are found in the urinary system or the excretory system in specific, talking about excretion of urine? All right. So what we have here is a couple of different structures. I'm going to flip the page and it's going to list all of them. I'm going to talk through them, but you should pause and make sure you fill them all out. So what we have at the very top, these two brown structures that look like beans or kidney beans, surprise, surprise, are actually your kidneys. Okay, so these are the kidneys. Their main job is to filter blood and to produce your urine. When they produce your urine, they collect the urine and send it down these things called ureters. These ureters are about 28 centimeters long. They're muscular tubes, and they do the process of peristalsis. This does not say peristalsis. It is incorrectly spelled. So that should say peristalsis. Remember, peristalsis is just these muscular contractions that squeeze down a tube to help it get from point A to point B. Once inside your ureters, it'll pass down to the urinary bladder. So here is the bladder. And the bladder is essentially your storage component. It is your where all your urine will collect, and it's controlled by a sphincter. So a sphincter helps control the release of the bladder. Where is it releasing to? Well, to the outside world through something called a urethra. The urethra is attached to the bladder, and it will then empty the bladder. In males, it's about 20 centimeters long. In females, it's about 4 centimeters long, which is actually important to understand. And when you come to Bio30, we talk about it a bit more. The reason for that is because Males, urethra goes up through the penis all the way up to the bladder, where the female's urethra is not actually attached to her vagina. You don't pee out your vagina, you pee out the urethra, which is located above. So males' urethra are quite long and females are quite short. But unfortunately for females, what that means is that they can get urinary tract infections or bladder infections more frequently because there is a smaller space from point A to point B for bacteria to get into the bladder. The last thing we have here are two types of blood supply, the vein and the artery. So one, you have the renal artery, which you can see here is located as the red structure here, and the renal vein is the blue one. And we're going to talk about the importance of those when we get into something called the nephron. So what are we going to talk about now? We're going to talk about excretion and the composition of urine. So at this point, I would pause. You have a little box that says, please draw a diagram which depicts the composition, of urine. You are drawing essentially this picture. What it is showing you is that typical average urine output is about 2 liters a day. Okay. Now, that being said, if you are a water drinker and you drink a lot of water, you're actually going to excrete more urine than you are someone who doesn't. And that's because your body likes to maintain homeostasis. What goes in has to come out, okay? You can't keep all this water in you, otherwise you become waterlogged and bloated and your skin actually stretches. It's very painful, so you don't want any of that. So inside your urine, you have a bunch of different stuff. You have urea, chloride ions, sodium ions, potassium ions, creatine, bicarbonate ions, and uric acid. Okay. Now you'll notice creatine is part of it, which we talked about in muscle contractions, the creatine phosphate breakdown. If we don't need excess creatine to help with muscle contraction, we just get rid of it. Okay. So if you could draw this picture into your notes and just have an idea of generally what's inside your urine. We're going to talk about chloride, sodium, and potassium specifically, and some bicarbonate ions when we talk about reabsorption and filtration and secretion. So the excretion, this is the fill in the blank part of your notes. Excretion is the process of separating waste from body fluids and eliminating them. Just a simple definition. Separate and eliminate. Again, your body does this in almost all systems, okay? Not just the urinary system, so the excretory system actually encompasses a lot, okay? The respiratory system gets rid of carbon dioxide. Your skin actually gets rid of waste through sweating, so water, salts, and you actually sweat out some urea in your perspiration. The digestive system, we also know, gets rid of excess water, salts, and lipids, okay? Key thing here, guys, when we're talking about this, feces or poop is not considered excretion. Okay. The reason is because it's not actually a metabolic breaking down process. Okay. Feces is the collection of all the things your body couldn't use. It's never gone through a metabolic breakdown. So if I ask you a question about excretion, do not use feces as an example. Most metabolic waste, though, anything we use and then discard, will be actually excreted through the excretory or urinary system. The very last thing we want to add into your notes today is this lovely picture right here. This is a cross-section of a kidney. Now you'll see this cross-section of a kidney is much nicer. Now, if you are a fantastic drawer, which we know this, then you can draw this beautiful one right here, or you can attempt to draw this one, which I drew right here. So what you're going to do is you are going to add in, I always start by drawing this section first by kind of just doing a little, I call them mushroom caps. So you do this part here, kind of get this going like so. If you're following my cursor, seeing what I'm doing, I go like that, then I connect it, and then I just go around the outside. And that is my kidney. Now, what am I showing here? Well, the kidney is showing here the ureter, which in this picture is this piece here, guys. In my picture, there is no renal artery or renal vein. I have eliminated it because I want you to actually see these structures here, which is kind of hard to see in this picture. So the ureter is actually attached to the inside of the kidney into something called the renal pelvis. Now we're going to learn about the renal pelvis and its role when we talk about this guy, which is squiggled on up here, which is the nephron. Now, the renal pelvis breaks into kind of this, I would call them mushroom caps. To me, they kind of look like mushroom caps, which is essentially contains the two other parts of the kidney. The renal medulla, which is the internal part of the kidney, and then the renal cortex, which is the outer part of the kidney. In Bio 30, we learn about why these two are separated and what hormones are actually secreted to those places. So it's kind of a very interesting process. So what we need to know right now is this little mushroom cap thing here is part of the renal medulla, and this outer part is part of the renal cortex. Inside both the renal cortex and the renal medulla is this structure, which is just squiggles now because we will draw it fully in a couple days. This is called the nephron, and the nephron is the main reason your body can filter any of your blood. There's tons and tons and tons of them located inside your kidney. This looks like one per thing, not true. There's just so many of them located inside your kidney, helping your body filter and clean, and then helping you excrete. So again, please draw this diagram, or if you got some fancy drawing skills, this diagram of the kidney, and please label it so that you have it labeled. Tomorrow, I'm going to give you guys a quick drawing quiz on the structures of the urinary system, so the big picture we did before, and then a cross section of the kidney for you to label. If you have any questions, please let me know.